When the American Civil War erupted in 1861, few people imagined that coffee would become one of its earliest victims. Rifles, ammunition, uniforms, shortages were expected, but coffee was different. Coffee was woven into daily life so deeply that its absence felt unreal. Soldiers woke to it, officers planned marches over it, campfires were built around it. Coffee was not just a drink, it was morale, routine, and memory in a tin cup. Within a year, that cup was empty. The Union naval blockade strangled southern ports with ruthless efficiency. Ships carrying coffee from Brazil and the Caribbean simply stopped arriving. Warehouses emptied, prices soared beyond reach. What little coffee remained was reserved for hospitals, officers, or black market traders. Ordinary soldiers were left with water, often stagnant, sometimes polluted, always cold. Letters from Confederate camps record the shock. Men wrote not about bullets, but about mornings without coffee. One soldier described the silence at dawn as unnatural, as if the day refused to begin without it. Another wrote that marching without coffee felt heavier than carrying a rifle. Out of this absence, something new emerged. Soldiers began brewing what they grimly called mud. The name was not poetic, it was honest. The drink was dark, bitter, and earthy. It stained tin cups, it clung to the tongue, it smelled like burned soil and desperation. But it was hot, and it was shared. Mud was not invented in one place. It appeared simultaneously across camps, farms, and kitchens. Wherever coffee disappeared, substitutes took its place. Chicory roots dug from roadsides, acorns gathered from forests, burned grains, roasted peas, and eventually okra seeds from backyard gardens. If it could be darkened by fire and crushed into powder, it became coffee. The ritual mattered more than the flavor. Heating water, grinding something by hand, waiting, holding a cup while steam rose into cold air. These small acts restored a sense of order in a world unraveling daily. Coffee had been a symbol of civilization. Mud became a symbol of survival. Among all substitutes, one rose above the rest: chicory. Not because it was rare, but because it was everywhere. Chicory thrived where crops failed, along roads, fence lines, abandoned fields. Its blue flowers marked places people had stopped looking. Long before the Civil War, chicory had proven itself during crisis. European wars, blockades, and famines had already taught its value. French households relied on it when Napoleon's wars cut off trade. German cities roasted it during shortages. That knowledge crossed the Atlantic quietly, embedded in memory rather than manuals. Southern families knew where to find it. The root was thick, pale, stubborn. It had to be dug carefully, cleaned thoroughly, sliced thin, and dried. Only then could it be roasted, slowly, evenly, until the slices darkened and cracked. Burn it too much, and it tasted like ash. Roast it too little, and it tasted like grass. When done right, chicory produced something remarkable. The brewed liquid was bitter, aromatic, and grounding. Not identical to coffee, but close enough to fool the senses at dawn. Soldiers wrote that it warmed the chest and settled the stomach. There was more happening than taste. Chicory contains inulin, a complex fiber that feeds beneficial gut bacteria. Soldiers didn't know the science, but they felt the result. Chicory reduced hunger pangs, it eased digestion, it prevented cramps caused by poor rations and stress. Medical officers noticed. Unlike coffee, chicory did not overstimulate exhausted nerves. It didn't worsen anxiety or trembling. In camps plagued by insomnia and fear, chicory proved gentler, steadier. By 1863, chicory was no longer a temporary fix. It became standard. Families planted it intentionally. Soldiers carried dried slices in their packs.
Kitchens blended it with the last remnants of real coffee to stretch supplies. After the war, coffee returned, but chicory did not disappear. In parts of the South, it remained, quiet proof that when systems fail, roots remember. When gardens failed and roots ran thin, soldiers turned to what armies had always turned to in desperation: the forest. Oaks lined roads, shaded camps, and dropped their harvest freely every autumn. Acorns were everywhere, ignored for generations because abundance had made people forget their value. In war, that forgetfulness vanished. Acorns are not immediately edible. They are bitter, harsh, and loaded with tannins that irritate the gut and block nutrient absorption. Consumed raw, they cause sickness. This is where old knowledge resurfaced, knowledge never written down, only passed through hands. Indigenous techniques re-emerged quietly. Acorns were cracked, crushed, soaked repeatedly in water. The water turned brown as tannins leached out. Sometimes the process took days. Sometimes boiling sped it up. Only when bitterness faded were the acorns dried and roasted. Roasting transformed them. Sugars caramelized, oils emerged. The smell shifted from raw forest debris to something warm and nutty. Ground and brewed, acorn coffee was dark, smoky, and grounding. It lacked caffeine, but not substance. For soldiers, that mattered. Acorn brew delivered calories, rare in liquids. It provided minerals pulled from deep forest soil. It slowed hunger. It warmed hands numb from marching. In letters, soldiers wrote about oak coffee as if it were an old friend, something steady in chaos. Entire regiments learned to forage together. Campfires glowed low at night as men roasted acorns quietly, careful not to waste fuel. Some mixed acorn powder with chicory to balance bitterness. Others added molasses or sorghum syrup when available, turning survival into something almost enjoyable. This was not improvisation, it was adaptation powered by memory. Knowledge, long dismissed as primitive, became essential, and it spread faster than any official order ever could. When forests were distant or dangerous, the final line of defense was the garden. And in the American South, one plant stood above the rest: okra. Okra was resilient. It thrived in heat, tolerated neglect, and produced even when soil was tired. But its greatest value emerged only when pods were left to mature. As they hardened, they filled with seeds, dense, oily, powerful. Families harvested these seeds late in the season, dried them carefully, and roasted them until nearly black. The smell surprised many, rich, almost chocolate-like. Ground and brewed, okra seed coffee produced a thick, satisfying drink with body, something most substitutes lacked. This knowledge did not originate on plantations. It came from Africa. Enslaved people had brought okra generations earlier, along with agricultural memory refined under hardship. That memory now fed soldiers and families alike. Okra seed coffee delivered slow energy. Its oils coated the mouth, mimicking the mouthfeel of real coffee. It calmed hunger and provided comfort when little else could. Soldiers wrote that it sat well and kept strength through the morning. More than nutrition, okra represented continuity. Gardens under siege still produced something familiar. Kitchens still functioned. Life, in some form, persisted. After the war, these recipes faded. Coffee returned. Markets reopened. Substitutes were labeled symbols of suffering and pushed aside. But not everywhere. Some families kept the practice alive, quietly, deliberately. Because once you learn how to replace something essential, you never truly forget. What soldiers called mud was never really about replacing coffee. Coffee was simply the trigger. What emerged during the Civil War was something deeper, a forgotten system of resilience that activated when industrial supply collapsed.
Coffee represented dependence. It came from far away. It required ships, trade agreements, stable currency, peace. When those systems broke, coffee vanished instantly. But chicory, acorns, and okra did not vanish. They waited, in soil, in forests, in memory. Mud mattered because it proved a quiet truth. Civilization is fragile, but knowledge rooted in land is not. Soldiers didn't just drink substitutes, they rebuilt rituals. They preserved structure in chaos. Heating water, grinding roots, sharing cups around a fire, these acts stabilized minds pushed to the edge. In war journals, moments with mud are often the only times men speak calmly. After the war, this knowledge was deliberately forgotten. The return of coffee symbolized recovery, progress, normalcy. Substitutes were framed as shameful reminders of hunger and loss. Families erased them from kitchens, cookbooks ignored them, markets refused them. But forgetting was a luxury of peace. Today, we live inside global systems even more fragile than those of the 1860s. Coffee travels thousands of miles, climate shifts threaten harvests, fuel costs rise, trade routes fracture, shelves empty faster than ever before. And once again, people begin searching for alternatives. Chicory still grows wild along roads, acorns still carpet forests every autumn, okra still thrives where other crops fail. These are not relics, they are backups, living insurance policies written into landscapes. Garden Lore Vault preserves these stories because they are not curiosities, they are instructions. Instructions written by people who had no choice but to adapt. Civil War mud reminds us that survival does not depend on technology alone. It depends on remembering how to see land not as scenery, but as support. The soldiers drank mud, but what sustained them was not bitterness, it was knowledge. And that knowledge never left. It simply waited.